Hello students, we are going to discuss a topic resealed erythrocytes, which is in your fourth unit, the last topic. So this resealed erythrocytes will come under your targeted drug delivery systems. Not only these resealed erythrocytes, your liposomes, neosomes, nanoparticles, microspheres, all this will come under your targeted drug delivery systems. Before going to this topic, we have to know what is meant by the targeted drug delivery systems. So here, targeted drug delivery systems are nothing but these are some modifications of your novel drug delivery systems, where in this here we are making a difference in your erythrocytes. Suppose if you are taking the resealed erythrocytes, you are taking an RBC, and in that RBC you are making some modifications. That is nothing but you are loading the drug into this RBC and you are injecting into the bloodstream to get a targeted action. Suppose if a patient is suffering with any heart attack, so you want to give the drug by using these RBCs. So what you have to do means you have to collect the blood sample, and from that you have to separate the RBC cells and you have to rupture it and you have to seal that into your RBCs, and you have to inject into your bloodstream for getting your targeted action. So whatever the drug that is loading into an RBC will go to the targeted site and it will show their action. Okay, so here in blood, the three types of cells, that is the leukocytes, platelets and erythrocytes, these three are called as the cellular carrier systems. So the carrier, the word carrier is nothing but it is acting as an aid between your transport of your drugs. So in these three, the erythrocytes plays a major role. So we cannot load the drugs in the leukocytes and platelets as they have less action when compared to the erythrocytes. That's why whatever the drug is there, that will be loaded into the RBCs. So we have to know what are these red cells. Red cells are nothing but your RBC. So they have some biological properties. So it may be used as carrier for drugs, it may be used as carriers for enzymes, it may be used for carrier for DNA, and it may be used for carrier for macromolecules. So we have to know what is the shape, size and function of your erythrocytes, which is nothing but your RBC cells. So here in RBC, it is a biconvave shape and it is flexible and elastic, and it has a nucleated structure with 7 to 8 micrometer in diameter and 2 micrometer in thickness. So the main function of the erythrocyte is to transport the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So how the drug will be getting loaded into the RBC, how it is getting transported, let us see. So here there is a process called as the hemolysis. Hemolysis is nothing but we are going to disrupt the cell membrane of your RBC. Suppose if you think this is a cell membrane of your RBC, so we are disrupting at some points. Okay, so here there is a one point and here there is a one point. So when you disrupt these cells, what happens means the outside cells will enter. That is nothing but whatever the drug substance you are taking. Suppose there is this drug should be lysed, that is it should enter into your RBC. So what we are going to do, we are going to rupture the membrane of your RBC and we are going to keep these RBCs in this drug solution. So when you keep like this, what happens, the membrane get lysed and the surrounding, that is whatever the extracellular fluid, that is the drug solution is there, no, that will enter into this, and whatever the components, that is RBC components, suppose it is having some hemoglobin, some cells will be there, no, so that will be coming out. Okay, so the intracellular and extracellular transport of the drug and also the intra and extracellular materials will takes place and leads to the formation of a resealed erythrocyte. Okay, so the process of sealing, that is called as the resealing, that is the membrane is rupturing, the drug molecules are getting entered into your RBC and again it is sealing like this. So this process is called hemolysis. Hemolysis is nothing but the disruption of your cell membrane and thereby the drug will be getting loaded into your RBC. Okay, so this mainly this RBC will contain 2 to 5% of your wet cell volume, and primary it will contain protein of about 40 to 60% and lipids of about 10 to 12%, and it also, that is the normal erythrocyte count, that is how much of RBC is present in your blood cells, is nothing but your 5.4 into 10 to the power of 6 cubic millimeter per liter will be there. So regarding this hematocrit, this is a value. Okay, so this hematocrit value is very important. So the hematocrit value is nothing but the percentage of volume occupied by the cells. Okay, hematocrit value is only applicable to the RBC cells, that is not only the percentage of volume occupied, how much amount of RBC are present in your cells, that is in your blood is present, is determined by this hematocrit value. So if you want to determine if you want to extract your RBC from the blood, what is the method that you are going to use, that is your simple centrifugation. So you all of you know how you will do the centrifugation. So you are taking the blood into the centrifuge and you have to rotate it for several times. So then after, the plasma layer and your RBC cells will be getting separated, and you are going to take that. Okay, so these, what are the red cells, that is your RBC, will survive in the blood for about 4 months. Okay, for 4 months it will survive in the blood. Then after, it is taken by the reticuloendothelial system. So what is meant by reticuloendothelial system means, whatever the disrupted cells, that is, or any toxins are released in your body, will be phagocyted by your RES system. RES system is useful for taking out all the toxic levels in the body, not only from the blood, it is also from liver, lungs, etc. Some organs will be there, from the different types of cells will be there, which constitute the reticuloendothelial system. Okay, this reticuloendothelial system will clear all the disrupted cells. Okay, so here in this process, you are taking the RBCs and you are disrupting it, again you are resealing it. So that resealed erythrocytes will stay of about 4 months only in your blood. So after 4 months, what happens? Again, the systems, whatever the ruptured blood cells will be there, that will be cleared by your RES system. Then how the red blood cells will be again coming into your blood? Means it will be coming from your bone marrow. So those cells are called as the leukocytes. Then afterwards, with the combination of the hemoglobin, you will get the RBCs. Okay, so the pigment which is present in the RBC is the hemoglobin. So whatever the erythrocytes are taken, it will be lysed. Lysed is nothing but your disruption. Okay, the RBC will be taken and it will be disrupted, and exchange of intracellular and extracellular solute will occur, and some of the hemoglobin will be lost during this process. Why? Because, so if you consider this as RBC cell, you are disrupting it. So what happens? Hemoglobin will be present inside, so it will be coming outside. So outside, the drug content will be there, no? It will be coming inside. Then the red blood cell will not contain any hemoglobin in that. So the cell which is not having hemoglobin in that is called as the ghost cell. Okay, this ghost cell, when we in this ghost cell, we are going to load the drug molecules. So then that cell is called as the resealed erythrocytes. Okay, so this is the main process of how the disruption of the cell will take place and how the drug loading into the cell will be occurring. Next, I said about ghost cells, which are nothing but the ghost. Okay, so this encapsulation has early begun in 1970, and the term the carrier RBC was introduced in 1979. So coming to the advantages, the isolation process is very easy. That is nothing but we will isolate this RBC from your blood itself, and it is biodegradable in nature. That is, after disruption of the cells, it will stay in your blood for 4 months, and thereafter it will be replaced with the new cells. Next, large amount of drug is encapsulated in small volume of cells, and entrapment does not require any chemical modification. We are not going to modify any chemical reactions here. Just we are disrupting the cells and loading the drug into that, and we are giving back to the target systems. So it will facilitate the incorporation of the proteins and nucleic acids also we can incorporate into it. And the major disadvantages is that the RBCs are removed from the circulation by components of RES. So sometimes what happens, suppose if the drug is loaded into your this resealed erythrocytes, what happens? It will stay in the blood for 4 months. So after 4 months also, if it is not taken to the target cells, or if it is not utilized by the target cells, it will be removed from the components of the reticuloendothelial systems. And not only the reticuloendothelial system, the components of the reticuloendothelium sometimes will drag all the drug molecules into outside of the cell. And also clumping of the cells may take place, and dose dumping is a major problem, and it is not suitable for polar drugs and also non-diffusible drugs. Okay, next we'll see the isolation of the erythrocytes. So how we are going to take the RBCs from the blood? So you have to collect the blood first, and from blood you are going to from where you are going to withdraw the blood means from cardiac or splenic punctures or veins we are taking from that, and whatever the blood is connected you are taking into the syringe. So the syringe will contain the anticoagulant. Anticoagulant is nothing but it will prevent the formation of coagulation of your blood. Okay, so for prevention of that we are going to add the anticoagulant in that, and the blood sample along with the anticoagulant is centrifuged at 2500 rpm for 5 minutes at 4 degrees centigrade. So after centrifugation, what happens? The two levels will be separated. One is the serum, that is your plasma, and your RBC on other cells will be separated. So you have to isolate the RBC, and the cells will be washed with phosphate buffer saline and with pH of 7.4. Next, the washed erythrocytes are then diluted with phosphate buffer saline and again it is stored at 4 degrees centigrade until used. Okay, this is the isolation method of RBCs, and after isolating you are going for lysis method. After lysis method you are going to load the drug into that and you are going to seal that. Okay, next we'll see, this is the introduction part of your resealed erythrocytes. Now we are going to see the entrapment methods. What are the different entrapment methods, by which methods we can load the drug into your RBCs? The first one is the hypoosmotic lysis method. So here osmotic lysis means what? First of all, what is meant by osmosis? That is movement of drug molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, so here in the osmosis, so through a semi-permeable membrane we are going to pass through that. Okay, so here if you think this is an RBC, so these are the drug molecules which are going to be loaded. So what happens, so in this these are the cell components, so we are going to place in a hypotonic medium. So what is meant by hypotonic means, so it is having the low osmotic pressure. That means if it is having low osmotic pressure, slowly the cell membrane gets disturbed and slowly the drug molecules will pass from outside to inside environment. So again it is placed in 0.4% NaCl solution. Okay, 0.4% NaCl solution will indicate the hypotonic medium. Okay, after keeping in that hypotonic medium, what happens means, so whatever the drug molecules are there, this will be entering into the cell by disrupting the cell membrane. So then what happens, intracellular and extracellular materials will be exchanged. So after exchanging, whatever the drug molecules will be there, it will be entering into your RBC cells. The hemoglobin which is present in your cell will be coming out. Okay, then the drug will be loaded into your RBCs. Then afterwards it will be getting sealed. Okay, so for sealing purpose you have to keep in an isotonic solution. Isotonic solution is nothing but the two solutions having the same osmotic pressure. Okay, what are the medium and also this solute medium will have the same osmotic pressure. So for that purpose you are going to take the 0.9% NaCl solution. So if you place this RBC cells in 0.9% NaCl solution, your resealing process will be occurring. Okay, after resealing, whatever the drug is there, that will be loaded into your RBCs. Okay, this is the first method, that is by hypoosmotic lysis method. Next, coming to the second method, that is dilution method. So in this, RBCs will have little capacity to resist increase in the volume. So the RBCs are very small, so whatever the drug should be there, it should be very minimum. If you take higher amount, the rupturing of the cell wall will be occurring and the drug loading into that will not occur. So you have to take the limited amount of solute into that RBCs. So if volume is increased above 50 to 75%, what happens? The cell membrane ruptures. Okay, then escape of cellular components takes place until equilibrium is attained. Then afterward the cells will get swelling because of excess amount of watering entering into that. It will swell up to 1.6 times of its original volume and forms pores on its surface. Small pores will be formed along with the swelling of your cells. Then these pores will allow the equilibrium concentration of the intracellular and extracellular volume. Then afterwards, if ionic strength is increased to 37 degrees centigrade, the resealing of your cell membrane takes place. Okay, so after swelling of your cells, what happens? Pores will be formed, and from that intracellular and extracellular exchange of your drugs will be taking place. Then the resealing process will take place. So this method is mainly applicable for encapsulation of the low molecular weight drugs. So example, to entrap the beta glucosidase and beta galactosidase. Next method is dialysis method. So you have know the normal dialysis method, but it is not quite opposite to that. So in this dialysis method, what you are going to do means the erythrocyte suspension, that is nothing but the RBC solution you are going to take, and in that you are going to add the drug solution to be loaded. Okay, you are taking the drug solution and also the RBC solution. So these two will be taking in a dialysis tube. One tube will be there, so it will have the two ends. So in that you are going to place the suspension as well as a drug solution. So after that you have to set that hematocrit value, that is RBC concentration should be very high in that. Okay, then afterwards both the end of the tubes are tied with the thread. Okay, this tube is placed in the bottle containing 100 ml of swelling solution. So now what is the process means, whatever the RBC you are taking, that should be swelled. Okay, when swelling occur, there will be formation of pores. From that extracellular and intercellular exchange of your drugs will be taking place. So for that purpose you are taking the dialysis tube inside the bottle containing 100 ml of swelling solution. Then the bottle is placed at 4 degrees centigrade for desired lysis time. So So dialysis will be occurring, and the contents of the tubings are mixed by shaking the tube. The dialysis tube is then placed in 100 ml of resealing solution. So after lysing, you are going to do the resealing. For that purpose, you are again placing the dialysis tube in 100 ml of resealing solution by using phosphate buffer saline at pH 7.4 at room temperature for resealing. Then the loaded erythrocytes are then taken and washed with cold phosphate buffer saline at 4 degrees centigrade. Then afterwards, the cells are finally resuspended in your phosphate buffer saline, and that will be directly given to your bloodstream for targeted action. So what are the advantages? Good entrapment efficiency will be there. That is, a maximum amount of drug will be loading by this method, but this method is very time consuming. So that is the disadvantage of this method. Okay, so these are all the entrapment methods. So not only this, some other methods are also available. So we'll discuss in your later lecture. Thank you. If any queries are there, please ask me without any hesitation. Okay.